Good evening, Drew.
Oh, I missed
I
you.
missed you too.
I missed you so much.
Oh, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm good. I'm just happy to be home. It's been a
Hmm.
very busy 2 weeks, which we'll talk about later.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
What else is going on with you? Everything's fine. Everything's just so great right now. Everything is good. There's no
Mhm. Mm-mm.
problems.
No. No.
I
No.
haven't lost all my retirement savings. None of that's affected
I.
me. I don't know
I.
about you.
I. I. I refuse to even look.
It's scary out there, bud.
Oh, I know. I know. And I'm gonna. Yeah. Suddenly, pretty soon, I'm gonna have another pretty significant expense. So,
Oh
yay.
yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
coming up.
Real soon. Yeah. Yeah.
When is when is his graduation?
Uh, the last day of school is in May, and I don't know when the actual graduation ceremony is. I know what his graduation party is.
Oh, okay. Can you tell me?
Yeah, hold on. I'm pretty sure. Let me go into hold on. Uh, and by know what it is, I mean I have an email from my wife. June 6th. June 6th.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Yeah, we
But
would we would we would love to get Zachary a graduation present.
okay, I will make sure you get an invite.
Well, I mean, look, I'm not asking for an invite. If you want to invite us, we will be there.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I'm just saying we will
Okay.
make sure that Zachary
Okay.
gets
Okay.
a
Okay.
graduation present
Oh.
because that guy works really hard and he deserves some presents.
Yeah, he's a good kid. Good kid.
He's a great kid.
Oh.
Absolutely great kid. Good dad too. He's got a good
Yeah,
dad.
I do.
I don't know about his mom, but he's
Yeah.
got a good dad.
But she's way better than me, I'll tell you what.
I don't know about that.
I
You
mean,
know her better. I mean, you know her better than me.
yeah, one of us, has a master's degree in like teaching children, and the other one uh is in Teams and Outlook all day. So
Well, yeah, well, there is that.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
God. Here's a question for you.
okay,
This is going to be like a weird ass tangent.
okay.
Okay. Um, how often does the Microsoft Auto update bug you to upgrade your Office software on your Mac?
Not that often, really. Okay,
Ugh.
I take that back. If I see the update button in Teams, I have trained myself just to push it. Otherwise, I will get prompted like 6 hours later by
Okay.
the auto up by the auto update app. But uh,
In my time at
okay,
Microsoft when I
okay.
worked there,
Mm-hmm.
you were automatically opted in to like the dog food channel.
Yeah.
So there was a very specific channel for Office updates. And like no shit, I would get notified 3 times a day that there were Office updates available. And it was just like, stop, please
Just pushing
stop.
new builds all the time.
I mean, that's what dog fooding is.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that term from John Kruger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
I saw John Kruger in The Office the other day. He was nice.
Yeah. Yeah. He and I had breakfast not too long ago. He's just such a wonderful human.
He is. He is. Oh.
It was super awkward though, because so we went to breakfast
Mhm.
and we ran into other former employees there,
Okay.
people who no longer work where you and he work or where I used to work.
Right.
So it was just like, and we were seated very close to each other. So it was just like very, very awkward. I mean, in a good way, right? It's
Yeah.
just one of those things. But I digress. Okay. We have a lot to catch up on because we didn't record last week because my schedule was super shitty. But when we last left our hero Paul,
Yep.
you were excited to go to an outdoor hockey game.
Yes. The
Yeah,
Navy
talk about
Federal Credit Union NHL Stadium Series game. I believe was the full name of it because I said it over and over and over again. The whole experience was just absolutely amazing. I've been I've been at quite a few historic, CBJ events, like not the first game, but early in the season. I was there for their first, like, clinching the playoffs for the first time. I was there for the first Detroit playoff series where we lost in a row, and the game where they threw beer cans at the ref. I was there for that. Uh, I was in Pittsburgh for Columbus's first playoff victory. That was fun. They won a game against Pittsburgh. They lost the series, but they won the game. Lots of great events. This by far was my favorite hockey game of all time. It was just absolutely incredible. It was cold. It was cold.
It was very
It
cold
was
that weekend.
so cold. Uh, I had got I had pre-purchased parking relatively close to the stadium. It was actually in the parking lot of the field house, if you're familiar with that kind of area.
Mhm.
Uh, there was a lot of, like, we decided that we were going to go check out some of the pregame stuff, which was outside. But like right when we parked, they couldn't call it a skull session because OSU told them they couldn't call it a skull session, but basically it was a skull session.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So
That okay, wait a minute. Stop. So that I'm not
Okay.
I think I know what that is.
Okay, so they basically do a pregame in the James Arena. The band plays a hype. It's a pep rally, is what it's a pep rally. And then historically, after the pep rally, the team walks across the street to the stadium. They come out of the James and they walk across the street to the stadium. So the Columbus Blue Jackets did that as well. And like right when we parked was like 3 minutes before the Blue Jackets did their walk across the street to the stadium. So we got to see that. What they had decided to do was there was a particular pregame outfit that Johnny Gaudreau liked to wear, and they basically all dressed like him as they walked across the street, and that was a nice touch. And then we checked out some of the pregame stuff, which was fine. We got like a picture taken, just walked around, and so we went. Then we went over to the stadium. Our seats were absolutely incredible.
Okay.
I had splurged for club seats, which meant I had a seat back. And if you've ever, this is the first time experienced the club experience at Ohio Stadium, but it was fantastic. There was a nice heated area with like real bathrooms.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, like they had concessions and merch in there, and this little like dedicated area that was just for hot chocolate and coffee. So that was nice. The game itself was good. It was entertaining. The Blue Jackets won, so yay, that makes it better.
Yeah.
And there was just lots of like little neat touches. Having the OSU athletic band to play like, play songs like, fight songs up in between was neat. Before the game they did Script Ohio on the ice.
How did that work?
They had those little suction cup shoes, sometimes they wear. Yeah, so the band had all of those, which, I mean, what an expense. Like, they literally on the ice.
Nobody fell down?
Nobody fell.
Okay.
They're on the ice for maybe 4 minutes tops. And those shoes are not cheap.
No.
And everybody had one. They played, it was a nice tribute to Ohio State and that whole culture. So obviously, one of the things OSU football team is known for are those Buckeye leaf decals they put on their helmets, right, as they score goals and do stuff. So to the right of the rink, they had some of those out. There were some Buckeye leaves, some NHL crest, some Columbus Blue Jackets logos. Then what they didn't make a big fanfare of it, they just did it. After every Columbus goal, they basically added a new one of those, and they're huge, like they're like 8 feet in diameter. But they would add a new one on the other side of the ice.
Oh, okay.
Right? So, yeah, the intermission, like 21 pilots played. That's not my thing.
That's not you.
That's not my thing. The light show and the pyro was pretty cool. I would have to say that the second intermission we basically got warm. But it was great. The whole family had a good time. We were cold, but yeah, like it was nice to be able to park close. So like while we took forever to actually get out of the parking lot, we were
Yeah.
relatively in our car relatively quick, getting warm. Uh, we took blankets and stuff with us, so we did the best we could. I wish I would have worn 3 pairs of socks instead of just two. Uh,
Oof.
whew, my feet were cold. But it was, yeah, it's all in all, it was really nice. It was fun. I
Oh
would I
man,
would I
that's
would
great.
gladly do it again. I don't think they'll do it anytime soon, but uh yeah, it was fun.
Man, that's great. I'm so
Mhm.
happy you guys had a good time.
Yeah, it was great. Oh.
Now, what kind of merch did you get?
Uh uh we purchased all of our stuff beforehand. Uh Most of the like family got like sweatshirts or like stocking hats. I don't trust stocking hats, especially expensive ones, because my head's real big.
Yeah,
Uh
same.
but I splurged and got myself a Zach Wierenski jersey,
Ooh.
which I wore over top of my coat so people could see it. And yeah, I really really liked the jerseys the Blue Jackets had for the game with the big old cannon. Uh, I don't know if you remember Boomer at all,
The
the mascot.
uh, you
Okay,
mean, wait a minute. I thought it was Stinger.
okay. Yeah, so Stinger is our mascot, the giant bee. Uh,
Boomer was like a wolf?
no, okay. So, uh,
Are you a furry now?
no. So very briefly, I'll find an article or something and put it in there. Uh, I mean, here's a uh here's like an article. This is like 2015. When they debuted it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, listen to this. And if not, if nothing else, I'll make Boomer the chapter art. So for a
Oh,
very very brief amount of time, we had this mascot called Boomer, and it was basically
the
a
cannon.
poor man in a giant inflatable cannon. Uh, Cannons already are very phallic looking. Uh, this particular costume did not help that at all. And
Yeah,
also what
rubber phallic daddy.
yeah, and also during the games, uh that costume also happened to be a t-shirt cannon.
Shut up.
Oh, I'm serious. So he would fire t-shirts. Oh, anywho, there was a fan there dressed as Boomer, and it was just absolutely. They actually end up winning like the best fan of like the
Oh,
best fan contest or whatever. But I
so
thought
he
that was really
basically
funny.
cosplayed a penis
Yeah,
cannon. Okay.
yeah, exactly. Oh,
Wow. Weird. What a great timeline. I mean, we have cosplay at hockey games now.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, needless to say, Boomer didn't last very long. I think.
No. No.
Okay, here's the article. Yeah, he was retired just 3 days after he debuted. Oh.
So
Mhm.
we have the internet.
Mhm.
Should I look for Boomer Rule 34?
Maybe it's out there. Oh, I mean,
Okay, hold on.
here we go. Oh.
Columbus Blue Jackets Boomer Rule 34. Uh
No, no,
um
no.
I'm not seeing anything that isn't like kind of well, okay. Um
Did you find
uh,
some?
no, I didn't find anything specific to him, but I'm seeing a lot of other stuff named Boomer
Yeah. Uh huh.
that's not great for
Yeah.
my eyes. I gotta stop.
Same. I'm
Nope.
close.
Yeah, I
That
can't.
tab's being closed. Sorry.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay. Well,
Oh.
maybe it was just short lived enough that nobody was able to be gay for Boomer.
Oh.
But
Well, so
okay.
how was your trip to Vegas?
Yeah. So part of the reason we didn't record last week is that I had to go to Las Vegas. there was a big conference out there known as HIMSS, which is the uh healthcare in what is it? Oh crap, I can't even
Uh,
remember what it's called.
I'm gonna be honest. When I first saw this in there, I was like, "Did he misspell that stupid like vitamin supplement thing that I keep
Oh, the
getting
boner pill
advertised
thing?
over
No,
again?"
no, not that HIMSS.
Oh no.
Healthcare Information and Management Systems Society. It's basically healthcare IT all
Okay.
up. So there's companies that go. Obviously, our company was there because we support a very large number of healthcare companies, payers, providers, health and life sciences, pharma. We obviously have a big presence there. I mean, obviously Microsoft was there, Oracle was there, AWS was there. There were consulting companies who work with healthcare systems to do implementations of software, cloud deployments, people who make healthcare specific software. Like if you've ever been to the doctor and they log onto those terminals, like I'm sure you've seen the Epic logo around from time to time.
Okay.
That's what
Yeah.
basically manages your electronic health record. They had a super huge presence there. And of course, because of the era that we live in, all the different banners and stations were like AI this, AI that, AI bedpans. I'm not even making that up. It was
Huh.
just AI all over the place.
Huh.
Yep. So what it was is I was there to do two things. I was working in the booth providing demonstrations to people who came by and asked questions. And there were basically three types of people that would come to our booth. The first were people who were customers, and they told us they were going to be there. They would come by the booth. They would talk to their account rep. They would talk to their equivalent of me if they were there, or if they weren't there, someone like me would fill in and answer questions and talk about stuff that's coming down the line.
Can I guess
So there
the
was a
other
lot
two?
of, I'm sorry.
Can I guess the other two?
Yeah.
So I'm guessing the most common one was people who just wanted your swag.
Not really,
Okay.
because we
Okay.
didn't really, swag really wasn't the thing,
Okay. Okay.
at least in our booth. I mean, we had hats and we had some t-shirts.
Okay.
So we had some stuff, but people weren't like going crazy for our swag. Now there was some booths that had some cool swag, and people were walking around with some of that stuff. Like one of the booths was giving away lightsabers.
I stole a Microsoft Azure Rubik's Cube from their thing without talking to them. I don't feel bad at all.
The thing you got to do, and if you ever go to one of these big conferences, here's the gambit. Like if you want to play a fun game,
Okay.
it's go to as many booths as you can
Okay.
and take as much as you can without letting them scan your badge.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's. Mm-hmm.
Because if you do that, you win. Because they can never contact you, because they're not going to have your info, because
Yep.
every booth has some sort of iPad or iPhone or
Mhm.
barcode scanner or something.
They want your deets so they can
They
cold
want
call you.
your info.
Yeah.
Yes.
Send you
And,
emails.
we're no different,
Mhm.
but yeah, that's what they do. So they lure you in with cheap plastic shit, and then it's now they have your email forever, and
Yes.
they will
Mhm.
not hesitate to email you. Yeah, but swag really wasn't what people were there for. Some people did come by and want one of our hats or t-shirts or something. We were also giving away gift cards. It was like a little spin the win thing we had in our booth that people could try to win, like an AWS or an Amazon gift card. So, I mean, people came by and did that. So the other two people who came by were people who have no idea what we do. Hey, I've heard of you, but I don't know what you are. Can you tell me what you are? And those are pretty straightforward conversations. Well, have you ever heard of this thing called a lake house? Or are you trying to do Gen AI? Are you trying to do machine learning? Are you trying to migrate your data warehouses to the cloud? Those are really easy conversations. And then there's people who know about us and want to use us, but they have like a hyper specific thing that they want to do. And we had in booth demos for healthcare specific stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we had, they weren't pre-recorded, but they were there were demonstrations that we were able to do. So like quality of care metrics and doing this thing where you can take DICOM imagery, which is just really, really fancy high resolution X-rays or CAT scans or other medical imagery that has embedded metadata. So the idea is that when you get these images, you can build a workflow that extracts all the metadata and tags from the image embeddings and then also show the different layers of an image. So like these images are massive. They're super high resolution and they are oftentimes multiple slices, because if you've ever had a CAT scan, it's basically one, depending on the resolution of the image, it's like image one is, you know, the left side of your body, and then it kind of like you keep adding images, right?
Yeah, it takes like individual like slices through your body. Yeah.
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 And when those images are created, it also embeds information. Like, what was it a picture of? Who was the patient? What was the diagnosis? There's all sorts of things that get added to the image as metadata. So like we have a solution that can process these images, basically turn it into structured data, and then you can do analysis on it. You can do, we actually partner with NVIDIA to use one of their models, and it was really cool because you could like take an image and run it through NVIDIA's model, and it would highlight the different organs in an image. So, you know, just really interesting solutions like that. And then, of course, I was in customer meetings where, you know, we had arranged to talk to certain organizations that may or may not be using us. And it was just like, hey, we want to, it was kind of sales pitchy, kind of art of the possible, just being there to answer questions and get people excited about stuff. So it was interesting because the convention was at the Venetian, and the Venetian Convention Center is essentially 2 floors.
Yeah,
And
that's where my that's where the Gartner
yeah.
convention. Yeah.
So like the upstairs is where the convention hall was. And then there's of course all the different ante rooms and meeting rooms around that. But underneath the convention floor, they had basically built out little mini partition meeting rooms. And we had like 3 meeting rooms down there. So if you had booked a meeting with somebody there, you would basically go downstairs to one of these little meeting rooms, and that's where we had like the good snacks and the good drinks, and we would just sit in there and talk to customers. So, I mean, it was one of those things where you just had to be on all day. And don't get me wrong, like it was nice to go to happy hours and dinners and do stuff with people and see people that I like working with. Like the person that hired me has got promoted a couple times at where I work now, but he was there and it was always good to catch up with him. There's other people who have similar roles to me that we work together a lot. We collaborate a lot. So it's just nice to talk to them. So none of my particular accounts that I cover were there. So I was just, I don't want to call it a reward, but it was one of those things where I was asked to participate. It's like, yeah, I'll go to Vegas for a couple of days, not forgetting about what that actually means to go to Vegas for 4 days.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was nice because we basically had shifts. So I was able to sleep in a little bit, catch up on email, still attend meetings on East Coast time that I needed to attend. Kind of, I didn't stay at the Venetian. I stayed at a different hotel, still on the Strip, stayed at a different hotel that was a little further away from everything. So it was just nice. It was a little more secluded, a little less busy. I didn't really get to do anything extracurricular. Some people went to the Sphere. I didn't have time. I had dinner with a few people. I went and looked at fancy watches because there's just a lot of watch stores there. I got to do some of that stuff.
Did you buy any
all in all, it was
watches?
I'm sorry?
Did you buy a watch?
No. You know, it's funny. There's 2 watches that I'm looking at right now, and I would own either of them. I'm looking at an Omega Speedmaster, what they call a Moonwatch Professional. I think we may have talked about it. And the hotel that I stayed in actually had an Omega boutique. Oh. And they had a fair amount of watches in stock, but they didn't have the exact one I wanted. And when you're in that price point, like you don't want to compromise, right? You want to get the thing that you want. Now, I will say that they had some very rare pieces there. So Omega, let me see if I can find it real quick. Speedmaster. Um, they make a series of, so the way to think of this is Omega, the watch company, makes a line of watches called the Speedmaster. It's sort of their iconic, very recognizable, very prolific. There's a ton of variety in it. And the whole reason that the Speedmaster is famous is it was the watch that Neil Armstrong wore when he went to the moon. He had an Omega Speedmaster on. And it's one of the few watches in the world that is certified for space. Not that I'm going to go to space, but it's just weird that that's a certification that they have. So they have what they call their Moon Watch Professional. And that's what I want. I have a very, very specific model in mind. I want a white face, black leather strap, not a metal bracelet. And they make two different types of glass for it. One is this manufactured substance. I forget what it's called. It starts with a B. I can't remember what it's called. But they also have a sapphire glass. That's the one I want. It's slightly more expensive, but I think it looks nicer. And you can tell the difference because the bezel's a little bit different on it. But anyway, I digress. They didn't have the one I wanted there, but they did have a particular watch that I had heard people talk about, and it didn't sound like it was for me, but I saw it there and I'm like, okay, this fucks. So they have a particular series of Speedmasters that they call the Dark Side of the Moon. So like here's the one that I looked at specifically that I was like, okay, I could probably wear this watch.
Ooh, that is a nice looking watch. That's a hefty price tag, but yeah,
it is. So the Dark Side of the Moon series are a little rarer, and they're ceramic. So they're not metal. Okay. So the bezel is ceramic. Now that's good and bad. It's a very distinct look, but you do have to be a little more careful with it. This particular one is interesting because the two watches that the two fancy watches that I own right now are both metal bracelets. I have the Tag and I have the Rolex. Those are metal bracelets. You can kind of wear them with everything. I want a nice leather strap watch. Okay. I would prefer to have a brown leather strap watch because I want something that goes with...
You can wear it more things.
More things. Now, I think that what most people would think is that black goes with more things than a brown strap. And maybe that's true, but I really want a brown leather strap. And I tried this watch on in the store, and I did like it very much. But let's not fuck around. It's almost $13,000.
Yeah.
Which is approaching what I paid for my Rolex. Not that Omega isn't worth it, but by contrast, the Speedmaster, the Speedmaster that I really want is about $4,000 less.
Okay.
So just like that's something, right? So again, I wasn't able to find the one that I wanted. I'm still looking. Now, the other store that I went to is Panerai. And I think we may have talked about Panerai before.
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. So Panerai makes a couple different watches. And I was looking for what they call a Luminor. So the Luminor is kind of their, I guess you could call it kind of famous watch. Let me see if I can I'm on the website right now, and like their website is not super great. So I'm just going to do this real quick. I'm going to filter for these, show all results. Yeah. So I looked at this watch in the Panerai store. So it is a Luminor Marina. So it's a very, very big watch. They wear very big. And I'll be honest, it's probably too big for my wrist. It's probably too big for my
Wow,
wrist.
that crown guard is gigantic. That's a
That
statement.
that is sort of their fetish, is the crown guard. That's how you can usually identify them. And
Okay.
it's not subtle. It is a
No.
very, very
No.
large watch.
No.
It is 40,
Yeah, it's big.
44 millimeters. So
Okay.
pretty big.
Yeah.
But I like this one a lot. Now, this one would obviously fit that need. White face, still has the date window, is the in-house movement for Panerai. Panerai also farms out some of their movements, so you got to be a little careful if you're trying to get the best of the best out of them. But this one comes with a calfskin strap that feels amazing. I bet you it's hell to keep clean and nice, which is why they also give you a secondary strap.
Oh, so that green rubber strap. Yes,
that's included for free. So when you're going out somewhere nice and you want the good strap, they clip on and off. They're not hard to change.
Okay.
But they give you that green strap as like, here you can wear this every day. But if you really want to keep that calfskin stuff nice, and again, this is priced comparatively to what the Speedmaster is. But anyway, the nice thing about going to Vegas is they really lean into some of these higher end boutiques, not just for watches, but for clothing, for jewelry, for leather goods, purses. That's a good place to go if you're shopping for stuff like that. And I think that you're also more likely to find things in stock there because, if you're going to win money and you want to turn that money around, then that's it. Oh, that's the other big thing. I actually won money in Vegas this time.
Congratulations. What'd you play?
A slot machine.
Oh, okay. How much did you win?
Never play slot machines.
Yeah.
I doubled my money. I
Okay.
took $200
Okay.
and I went to a dollar slot machine, put $100 bill in,
Okay.
and I am probably the unluckiest motherfucker in the world when it comes to gambling. I just kept winning. I just kept winning the thing. And it's so funny because these modern slot machines are just basically giant screens.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's so many things happening. I'm like, okay, number go up. That's all I care about. I don't care.
Dude, so many. Yeah. You can't keep track of what's winning and what's not. You're just like, oh yeah, exactly. Number go up.
Button
number
win.
Go down.
Button win. Button win. And I got to. I turned that $100 into $300. So I cashed out.
Nice.
And I came home with $400.
Excellent.
Yeah, that never happens to me. First of all, I never play slot machines. I just don't. Like, I know some people like that, and you can pay penny slots and 5-cent slots and all that stuff, but I wasn't there to fuck around. Like, it was get money in this machine and let's just see what happens. And if I had lost that $100, I was going to take that other $100 and just go play blackjack. But I was like, you know what? Cut my losses here. No more gambling.
Smart.
Yep. So, all right. Do you have anything else to talk about before
Nope.
I totally take over the show?
Get into it.
Okay. So I have to submit more paperwork to the government.
Okay. What'd you do?
Okay.
Are you still around?
Paul,
are you allowed? Are you allowed within 100 yards of a school?
Don't even fuck around with that. Yes, I am, to be clear.
Okay.
So, okay. So I bought something that's kind of cool, at least for me. If you've ever watched an action movie before, you are probably familiar with the iconic Heckler and Koch MP5. I'm sure that I can say that out loud, and you probably know what that is, right?
Okay, I see a picture of it. Yes, yeah.
It's ubiquitous. It is one of the most recognizable and yet one of the most reliable, well-built, probably overbuilt, like all HK products in the world. It's famous. It has been used by counterterrorism units and police departments and military people for time immemorial. The problem is that as a normal person who isn't any of those things, you really can't find these anywhere. So for the longest time, if you wanted a commercial MP5, you had to buy what was called a clone. So there were companies that licensed the design, and these HK MP5s are famous because they have a very distinct delayed, what do they call it? Delayed roller locking action. That's a really fancy way of saying that it really helps dampen recoil. It makes the gun very accurate. It makes it very pleasant to shoot. But traditionally, it's been a submachine gun, right? It's not a full-on rifle. It shoots pistol cartridges like 9mm, and they also make a version that's chambered in 45. But most commonly, it's chambered in 9mm, and it's a very iconic firearm. But again, if you wanted to buy one, you had to go out and buy a clone, and quality there varies, and it's very much a you get what you pay for arena. You can buy a very, very cheap clone that may faithfully recreate everything, but just not be very good. It may use cheaper materials. It may not be as reliable. And then there were certain companies that made basically part for part clones that were very good. Well, a few years ago, HK brought back their official version of this product. And for the civilian market, they call it the SP5, not the MP5, the SP5. And that stands for sporting, instead of military, it's sporting. So it has a couple things that are different. The two most recognizable thing is obviously it's not select fire. It's single shot only. It's not single shot or burst or full auto. It's only those, single shot, just like everything else that civilians buy. And it also doesn't have a stock. So if you're looking at the picture on the website, there's the part of the gun that you would grip with your left hand if you're a right-handed shooter, and then your right hand would be on the trigger. But there's nothing to support that gun into your shoulder, because if you look at where the sights are, you sort of have to hold it way out in front of you to get a sight picture for it to work. Now, our esteemed Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives classifies this firearm as a pistol.
Okay.
And the reason for that is it's designed to be shot one-handed, unsupported, so it doesn't have to follow all of the other rules of what we call short barrel rifles. So the rule is that if you go to the store and you buy a rifle, the barrel has to be at least 16 inches long. If the barrel is at least 16 inches long, it's just like buying any other rifle. There's no special rules. Pass a background check. You can own it. If you want something that is shorter than 16 inches, it's a very similar process to what I have to do to buy a suppressor. You have to submit a bunch of paperwork, pay a tax fee, wait for them to approve it, and then you get the gun. So there are several gun stores in Ohio right now where you can go to the store and you can buy a 11.5-inch carbine rifle, pre-built, pre-stamped, ready to go. You just have to, you generally just can't walk out of the store with it that day. You have to do all the paperwork, wait for it to get approved, and then you can have it. Now, because this is a pistol, it doesn't have a 16-inch barrel. It actually has an 8-inch barrel. So from where the end of the muzzle is to where the barrel meets the magazine for it to go in the battery, it's 8 inches. And it's classified as a pistol. And ironically, funny enough, it doesn't have anything to do with the caliber. I can buy essentially what they call an AR-15 pistol that shoots a rifle cartridge, and it can be classified as a pistol in almost this exact configuration. And the common term for this is pistol caliber carbine. So that's what this is. So I went to the store, I bought this. It was not cheap because nothing HK makes is cheap, but it is, for all intent and purpose, it is minus that select fire mechanism. It is an MP5, and it's awesome. It's something that I've always wanted to own. I'm a big fan of HK firearms. I think they are some of the best you can own. It's great. But now I want to make it functionally equivalent in fit and finish to an MP5.
Okay.
Now,
I'm guessing there's probably aftermarket people that do that. Yeah. Okay.
Well, not even aftermarket.
Okay.
HK themselves.
Oh, they'll sell it too. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, so there's a particular website that's really, really good for this, and it's called hkparts.com. And you can go on there and you can buy official parts from Heckler & Koch. You can buy aftermarket parts. Like, they specialize in selling surplus parts direct from Germany in some cases, because that's where they're based, or aftermarket parts specifically made for their guns. So any kind of HK gun, pistol, submachine gun, rifle, whatever, you can find it there. So I'm going to put a link in the chat of the part I want to buy. And this is where the story gets a little bit interesting. So what is that, Paul?
I'm clicking on it. That's a rear stock for the gun.
Now, here's what I want.
Does that change the classification of the?
It does.
Okay, so that becomes a rifle there then, right?
So
a short barrel.
Yes.
It's a short barreled rifle, which
it
means
then becomes a short barrel rifle. So if you were to drag that tab out, okay, and have that picture open next to the picture of the gun from the HK website, you can kind of see where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Now, this is a retractable rear stock. It's not a fixed stock. So essentially, on the right side of the picture of the gun, there's basically a cap. That cap is going to come off. And what's nice about this retractable stock is it's designed, you can see that there's like grooves in the side of the gun. Okay. That's where that goes in. So when it's fully collapsed, it actually collapses into the gun. That's what it was designed to do.
Okay.
So this is the HK four position A3F retractable rear stock. So basically, end cap comes off, this slides in, the screws go back in, et voila, you're done. So now I can adjust that stock to go into my shoulder, and I have now not a pistol anymore. So once I add a stock to this, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms says, this isn't a pistol anymore. Yeah. This is now a rifle. And because it's a rifle and the barrel is less than 16 inches, so this is where, and like, no bullshit, this is where you can get into a lot of trouble. So right now in my safe, I have this SP5. This SP5 is sitting in my safe right now.
Okay.
There's nothing stopping me from buying this stock. I can add this to cart. I can buy it. I can have it shipped to my house.
It's not a problem to actually put it on the firearm.
Well, no. So that's the thing.
Okay.
It is. Oh. So the way that the ATF looks at this is, if I have the gun in my possession and I have the stock in my possession, I'm breaking the law, even if I never put it on the gun.
Got it. Okay.
Because they could say, how do I know you haven't modified this to turn it into a rifle? Even if it's not on the gun right now, how do I know you've never done that?
Huh.
It's a very, very weird rule. So to be safe, here's what you have to do. So you buy the gun.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to take a bunch of pictures of the gun. You have to basically have to show the government that, hey, I wanna basically file a piece of paper with you that says I'm going to build a firearm. That's what you're doing. Because by the letter of the law, I'm building a short barrel rifle. Now, that doesn't mean I'm in my basement in my makeshift machine shop, milling out pieces for an SP5. All it means is that I'm taking an existing firearm and I'm repurposing it, manufacturing it to be a rifle. So I have to file a form to do that. Now, there's a process very similar to what you have to do to get a suppressor. Like, it's all just paperwork and money and time. So I filed all that paperwork. Now, until I get clearance, could I buy this stock? Yes. Am I going to buy this stock? No. I basically be able to need to prove. So even when I get through all of this, okay, let's say that tomorrow they come back to me and said, Drew, you've been a good boy. We're going to allow you to do this. That's when I would turn around and order the part. Now, this gets really interesting, though, because one of the things you have to know to properly file this paperwork is what is the new overall length of the gun. Now, think about that. How would you know that without putting this all together?
Putting it on. Yeah.
So that's why if you're looking at the website, it actually has in the description when fully extended measures 10.5 inches from the middle of the pinhole to the very end of the butt pad. So basically what it's telling you, it's telling you it's adding 10 inches. So like whenever you...
So you can do the math without breaking the law.
Right. So if you go to the specification page of the SP5 and you look at the specs, it tells you what the barrel length is and the total length of the firearm. So you have to add 10.5 inches to that, and that's your new overall length. Now, God help me if when I finally get approval, this part is sold out. I'm kind of fucked.
Oh, yeah.
Because are the other stocks going to be 10.5 inches?
Now, what if you just bought this and like left it at my house?
Or I had it shipped to you?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't own a gun.
I don't know. Yeah, I do not. No.
Yeah. So maybe. Not saying that hasn't happened. But listen, okay. FBI who's listening to my conversations, no, I've not bought this. It is not at anybody else's house.
Okay.
I haven't done any of this yet. So essentially, like, here's the nightmare scenario. I'm at a gun range, okay? And I have the SP5 with the stock on it. An ATF agent comes up to me and says, hey, do you have your tax stamp for this rifle? Now, just like any law enforcement interaction in this country, you want to say and do as little as possible. And I'm not being a shithead, right? Yeah, I'm not one of those sovereign citizen people. It's just one of those things where it's like, if they ask you a question, you give them an answer, you don't elaborate, you don't tell stories, you don't try to be friends with them. It's just, you ask me a question, I'm going to give you the answer. So, like right now, when I go to a gun range and I bring my suppressors, in my bag that I pack, I have laminated copies of all my paperwork. Well, not laminated, but I have page protectors in a binder that I keep in my range bag. So if God forbid, I ever got stopped or questioned about it, I can say, hey, this is the serial number. It matches the serial number on the suppressor. Here's my tax stamp. Like, this is all above board. It's registered to me. I'm me. Here's my ID.
Yeah.
It's all you need to know. But where this gets a little dicier, though, is now when I finally get approval for this, I'm obviously going to add that paperwork to my binder. But it's one of those things where, let's say that this particular stock wasn't available and maybe the overall length is 34 inches. You're really at the mercy of that particular person about how much of a dick they're going to be about it.
Got it. Because technically, that's not the weapon you described to them.
Exactly.
Else. So how do they know you didn't do anything else to it?
Now there's a process. So let's say that I get this approved for the 36er, right? And I get all the approvals. I come back to the HK Parts website and I try to buy this stock and it's out of stock. I could obviously wait for it to come back in stock, or I could file an amendment to my form to basically say, hey, I'm changing the overall length of my gun.
Yay, bureaucracy.
Exactly. So it's one of those things where, again, you're really kind of at the mercy of who you're going to end up with, who's going to ask you questions. I've never had that interaction. I know that it has happened at the range I go to. So
yeah, I was going to ask, like, does ATF make a habit of like visiting gun ranges like this to shake people down or to enforce
So without being hyper specific, yes.
Okay.
Yes, they do. So there's one particular range we go to because suppressors are extremely popular and frankly, an advantage for long range shooting.
Yeah.
it just makes it such a better experience for
Yeah.
not just for you, but for everybody
Yeah.
around
Comfort. Yeah. That's
you.
big. Yeah. Yeah.
It's just better. And when you're at a range like that, where you're very likely to come across people who are shooting suppressed, yes. Now, it's private property where we go, technically. So it doesn't happen very often. And all I'll say is that the gentleman who owns that land, I don't think is very good friends with the ATF. But I
Uh,
will say, but here's the thing though. On his property, he also has a storefront where he sells suppressors. So
okay.
he kind of has to play a
Right.
little nice and let them.
Okay.
So yeah, it's this is again, look, this whole process is fraught with danger because if you fuck it up, even accidentally, best case, you're not going to be allowed to own guns anymore.
Right.
Worst
Okay.
case, you're going to get a hefty fine and maybe some jail time.
Oof.
Yeah. So this stuff is scary.
Okay.
It's extremely scary. But I'm excited to get this done. My friend that I shoot with doesn't have this particular model, but he has a very similar setup. He has a Sig Sauer MPX that he did this whole process with, and he coached me on like how to do it and what forms to fill out, how to fill them out successfully, and all that other stuff. So I feel good about the process, but with a looming government shutdown, I just hope it gets approved before then.
Oh, yeah.
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 So, and the timing couldn't be worse for me because I just got the email today that the company in Wyoming that essentially custom built me a suppressor for my big gun.
Uh-huh.
They had me pay my invoice balance today, which means they're about to ship it to the gun store,
Okay.
and I can go to the gun store and look at it. But if the government shut down, they're never going to process my form.
Right.
So that's really great. So it's like I paid $2,000 for this thing that maybe one day I'll get. I don't know.
Getting doged.
I'm getting Doge, bro.
Oh.
Ironically, it's so funny. Like Republicans are very gun friendly, and there's definitely a movement on the ultra conservative side of this country to abolish the ATF. And weirdly, with all the weird stuff going on in our government right now, I'm surprised that nobody's brought that up. I mean, they're cutting everything else,
Right.
and gutting everything else. I don't know why they wouldn't do this, but why would we arm people who were making angry, right?
True.
So, I mean, it's chestnut checkers. So anyway, that's my next adventure. Now, I keep saying this, but with this purchase and this upcoming suppressor purchase, I think I have achieved everything that I want to achieve.
Okay. So you're done for a bit?
I'm probably done for a little bit.
Okay.
Because I mean, I don't think it listed a price for the SP5, but when you factor in the cost of the gun, the cost of the money I paid a lawyer to draw up a trust, which I've been meaning to do for a long time to make sure that, God forbid something happened to me, that these can legally transfer to somebody.
Right.
Because I've invested a lot of money and time into this. The tax stamp information that I've paid to do this process. And then, I mean, you went to that page just to see what that particular part costs.
Yeah. Yeah. Not cheap. Not cheap.
It adds up.
Mm-hmm.
It adds up super quick. It adds up so fucking quick. So, yeah, I really want to just be done for a little bit. And honestly, we haven't even been out shooting this year yet. The weather is just starting to turn warm.
Yeah, I was going to say
probably going to get out there.
It's about time for you to get back on the range, right? Like it's getting
nicer.
nicer.
There were actually a couple competitions over the past few weeks, but okay. I'm not ready. Like I'm not ready to shoot them because I bought some optics around Black Friday last year and changed a bunch of stuff on some of my guns, and I just haven't had time to go up and zero them, let alone practice. So I'm hoping that with the warmer weather over the next few weeks, we can get back out there. Plus, my good friend that I do this with, like, he's got some other stuff going on. He was like redoing his basement, and he had some other stuff that he had to take care of. So like he and I haven't been able to go up there and fuck around or anything, or go out to the long distance range. But that's all going to change here probably in the next month. So
Okay.
yeah, more to come. I talked a lot today. I talked a lot.
It's okay.
All right. Is that a show? That feels like a show.
I feel like we did a show. Yeah.
We did a show.
Yeah.
Get us out of here then.
Hey, you know where to find us, doingtheirbest.com. You can find all the show notes, emails, social links, all that stuff. And hey, thanks for listening.